This case takes place in the Lucan area of West Dublin, surrounded by countryside and located in the valley of River Liffey. Anastasia Kriégel was born on February 18, 2004 in Novokuznetsk, Russia. She was placed in an orphanage, and in 2006, when she was 2 years old, she was adopted by Geraldine and her French-born husband, Patrick Kriégel, and they came to live in Ireland, where they gave her a loving and happy home in Kildare. Although Geraldine and Patrick had no cultural elements to Russia, they were determined that Anna would not lose her Russian roots. They kept her birth name, and every year they would celebrate the day they adopted Anna on August 10th, as well as her birthday, February 18th. As a child, Anna was described as boisterous and loud. She loved to dance and was a member of the local dance group. Most days she would practice her singing and dancing in front of the mirror. Like all teenagers, Anna went through various phases. In secondary school, she would wear Gothic-style clothing and dye her hair black. Her mother described her as a typical Siberian, as she was tall for her age, standing at 5'8", which meant she was an excellent swimmer, and Anna loved being in the water. She was often perceived as an older girl because of her height. Sadly, Anna was bullied because of this. As a younger child, she endured a complicated operation to remove a tumour from inside her ear, which caused long-term visual and hearing issues. Rather than receiving support for her impairment, fellow classmates used it as an opportunity to mock Anna and exploit her vulnerability. She would also be mocked for not having a real mum and dad, but despite these comments, she continued to try and build friendships. Anna was described as a sensitive girl who craved friendship. Because she struggled to make friends, her parents had concerns about her starting secondary school. She had a difficult start in secondary school. She suffered with severe bullying, and it wasn't just confined to the classroom. She would get bullied online by her peers too. Her mother, Geraldine, would take Anna's phone and tablet each night and insisted on Anna handing over her passwords. Anna wasn't happy, but she knew it was for her own protection. Geraldine would then see text messages, which she would describe as explicit. Some messages were sexual, and one threatened to execute Anna. Her parents wanted to address these issues and went to the school. They would accompany Anna to school every day because of their concerns. In October 2017, when Anna was returning home from a Halloween event that she had helped to organise, she was approached by 4 older boys in the street who told Anna that they were going to have intercourse with her. She told them no, and as she walked away, one of the boys retaliated by hitting her on the backside. Anna returned home, emotional and distressed. The boys were issued with a caution by the Gardaí. A downward spiral into depression and self-harm developed as Anna became more and more socially withdrawn. May 14, 2018 was just like any other ordinary day for Anna. It was a warm and sunny spring morning when her mother woke her up and kissed her goodbye before heading off to work. Anna had begun counselling sessions and she was due to attend a session that afternoon. Geraldine had signed a permission slip so that Anna could leave school early. Later that day, Anna returned home about 4 p.m. Patrick was outside in the garden when he heard a knock at the door and then heard whispering. He went to the front door and he saw Anna talking to a boy, who is only known as Boy B. Boy B had told Anna that the boy she had a crush on wanted to meet her. She grabbed her coat and smiled at her dad as she left the house with the boy and followed him through St. Catherine's Park. When Geraldine arrived home that evening around 5:20, she said she was immediately suspicious as no one ever called for Anna as she didn't have many friends. Geraldine became worried and messaged Anna to come home. After a short while, she texted her again saying, "Answer me now or I'm calling the Gardaí." With no response from Anna, later that evening, Geraldine went around the estate looking for her. She looked around St. Catherine's Park but saw no sign of her. At 9 p.m, the Kriégels went to the Garda station to report Anna missing. The only information the Kriégels had was that Anna had left the house at around 5 p.m. that evening with Boy B. So the Garda made Boy B their first port of call, where he told the officers that he had knocked for Anna, and they went to the park together. They then went their separate ways shortly after, and he went home and assumed that Anna had too. There was one thing that Boy B hadn't mentioned, and that was his friend, who would soon become his co-accused, Boy A. The following day, the Garda returned to Boy B's house, where he eventually told them about Boy A, and he said that Boy A had asked him to call for Anna that day, for relationship reasons, and he said that that was why he went to pick Anna up, and they then went to St. Catherine's Park. He said he'd been asked to call for Anna on behalf of Boy A. Boy A wanted to tell Anna that he was not romantically interested in her. Boy B, however, said he left Anna with Boy A, and he didn't know what happened to her afterwards. A few days after Anna's disappearance, the Garda decided to bring the boys to St. Catherine's Park to retrace their steps. Boy A and Boy B were both being treated as witnesses at this stage and not as suspects. One of the officers noticed that Boy A came to the park limping and had what appeared to be fresh marks on his arms. When asked about this, he claimed that he had been assaulted by a pair of youths in the park on the evening of Anna's disappearance. He said that after he said goodbye to Anna, 2 older boys had attacked him. He relayed this very detailed story and proceeded to tell the officers how the attack took place. He said that he was kicked to the ground and was punched, but he somehow managed to fight them off. He said that he kicked one of them in the head and then they ran away. They stopped by the BMX track in the park, and 2 officers who were with the boys noticed that they had exchanged a look which made them suspicious. They felt as though the boys weren't being honest, so a decision was made to take both boys back to the Garda station to make statements. Eventually, this story about an alleged incident was found to be a complete lie. Although the stories from Boy A and Boy B were inconsistent, the case was still being treated as a missing persons case. Until the 17th of May, when a shocking discovery was made at a derelict house just 3 kilometers from Anna's home. Glenwood House was an old property which had fallen into disrepair. Parts of the roof had collapsed as a result of a series of fires over the years, and it had sat abandoned for quite some time. The dilapidated country manor was built around 1800 and it sat comfortably on 105 acres of land. It was once an elegant rural retreat with extensive farm buildings towards the back. All of the windows were boarded up and graffiti can be seen on every wall in the building. A vast amount of rubbish would be piled up and planks of wood were scattered around the rooms. Unfortunately, it had become an attraction for antisocial behaviour. One of the Gardas had walked into a dimly lit room, which would be identified throughout this case as Room 1. The only light was coming from a hole that had been punched through one of the boarded up windows. He saw what he described as a mannequin, though on closer inspection, he realised it was the body of 14-year-old Ana Kriégel. She laid there naked, apart from the socks on her feet. There was a blue tape ligature around her neck. Her clothes were scattered around the room. 3 of Anna's fingers were behind the ligature, and her head was tilted back. She had been beaten and intimately violated. There had been more than 50 signs of injuries on her body. She died of blunt force trauma to her head and neck. It was clear that she had put up a fight. The floor was described as being saturated with blood. Her mobile phone, which had been broken in 2, was also found near her body. With all of the evidence left behind, it helped build a strong forensic case against the murderers. The missing persons investigation was now a murder investigation. The last people to see her alive was Boy A and Boy B. the witnesses to her disappearance were now the prime suspects in the murder inquiry. A week after Anna was found, the two boys were arrested. The parents of both boys were given notice of a pending arrest a day before the Gardaí arrived at their door. Searches were also conducted at their homes, where a number of items were seized as part of the investigation. As news of the arrest became public, the community was left devastated. The murder shook the locals, but more shocking was the age of her killers. Two boys who were just 13 years of age. Neither of the boys appeared to have a troubling background and were both brought up respectfully. There was nothing to suggest that the boys could carry out such a heinous crime. Forensics analysed evidence from the crime scene and the items seized from the boys' homes. Forensic tests were fast-tracked and Boy A was subsequently charged with Anna's murder. A backpack was found in Boy A's wardrobe. It contained gloves, knee pads, shin guards, a snood and a mask. Anna's blood was found inside and outside of the backpack. It became known as the murder kit. A pair of boots that Boy A had been wearing that evening were examined. The blood splatter concluded that either Boy A had assaulted Anna or was in very close proximity to her, as the test revealed that the bloodstains on them belonged to Anna. On May 24th, a week after Anna's body had been recovered, the Gardaí interviewed Boy A. Knowing that he wasn't being truthful, they showed him a picture of the black boots and told him that Anna's blood had been found on them. His response was, "Are you joking me?" The amount of evidence found from Boy A was indisputable, so the officers pushed on for a confession. Eventually, Boy A admitted getting Anna in a headlock and a chokehold and beating her with a stick and a concrete block over her head. He then wrapped some tape around her neck and proceeded to violate her. Both of Boy A's parents said that blood had been found on his clothes when he returned home that evening. They said he was shaken and scared. He told his parents that he had been attacked in the park. His mother had washed his clothes, unaware of the reality of what had actually happened. Forensic evidence against Boy A was undeniable, but as for Boy B, there wasn't much physical evidence linking him to the crime. During interviews with Boy B, his story began to unravel. For several hours, he stuck to the same story, saying that he went to Anna's house that day on behalf of Boy A. He knew that Anna had expressed romantic feelings towards Boy A, who wanted to tell her that he didn't feel the same. Boy B and Anna had walked to St. Catherine's Park to meet Boy A. Boy B then tagged along behind and said he was going to go, and that would be the last time he saw Anna. However, a witness from the park came forward and disproved Boy B's version of events. This witness had seen Boy B by the farmhouse. Boy B then said that when the Gardaí first came to question him, his mind was blank and couldn't remember what happened, so he lied. He told the officers that he did go to the abandoned farmhouse, but denied going inside. He said he waited outside while Anna and Boy B were inside. He said he heard a scream as he was leaving, but it became muffled as if someone had covered her mouth, and he became frightened and ran away. Boy B said he assumed that they were being attacked, but felt that Boy A was able to defend himself and protect Anna. Being at a crime scene does not automatically make you guilty, and without any evidence to suggest that Boy B had any part in Anna's murder, the Gardaí tried to push for more, but it wouldn't be long before Boy B asked his parents to leave the interview room. The detective said that because of his age, his parents had to remain in his presence. At that point, Boy B said that, "I realised that for things to be right, I had to tell you." He then started to reveal certain pieces of information about the attack and his presence at the crime scene and about Boy A's intentions to murder Anna. He went on to say that Boy A and Anna had approached the farmhouse. Boy A told him to leave at that point, but Boy B refused. He continued saying that Boy A and Anna went into room 1 and he could hear shuffling. He followed them into room 1 and when he got there, he could see Boy A choking Anna whilst pulling off her trousers. He then flipped her over. He said that boy A turned around and saw him standing at the doorway. Boy B said that he became frightened and ran away. Boy B told the officers that a month prior to Anna's murder, boy A had said to him, "Hey, do you want to kill someone?" Boy B replied saying, "No, who are you planning on killing?" And boy A responded with, "Ana Kriégel," to which boy B replied with, "In your dreams." He told the police that he didn't think that boy A was being serious. Finally, the Gardaí had enough evidence to charge boy B, but the conversation between the two boys would be key in securing a conviction. If boy B enticed Anna to Glenwood House knowing that boy A was serious in his intentions to kill Anna, then boy B was complicit in her murder. On May 31st, 2018, hundreds of mourners gathered at Anna's funeral to pay their respects. Her family requested that those who attended wore sparkle and colour, as it was something Anna had loved. As she was laid to rest, her friends and family remembered Anna as a bright young girl who brought a smile to everyone's face. The trial took place a year later in 2019. Boy B held his mother's hand throughout the trial. Boy A would often rest his head on his father's shoulder. Why would boy B take her to a derelict house? The prosecution claimed that it was beyond comprehension. Jurors at the trial had sat through hours of forensic evidence and video interviews, but on the morning of the 9th of May 2019, former state pathologist Mary Cassidy took the stand. As she read through the post-mortem reports, it seemed that there wasn't an inch of Anna's body that wasn't damaged. Her parents had to sit and listen to every last detail. The trial lasted 6 weeks and it took the jury 14 hours of deliberation before it was ready to deliver a verdict. The jury came back with a guilty verdict for both boys, and they were now known as the youngest convicted murderers in the history of Ireland. Boy A was sentenced to life for murdering 14-year-old Ana Kriégel. He was also given an additional 12 years for aggravated sexual assault on her. Boy B was sentenced to 15 years for murder, with a review after 8 years. He was told by the judge that he actively and knowingly took part in her murder by luring her to her fate that evening. The boys will remain in Oberstown Child Detention Campus until they turn 18, after which they will go on to an adult prison to serve the rest of their sentences. Disturbing evidence was found on boy A's phone that wasn't put before the jury. Thousands of indecent images and videos, some of them very violent and graphic, and some even containing animals. This was found on 2 phones belonging to boy A. They were both seized as part of the investigation. There was one in relation to a female wristbound to a post. There was another in relation to a man squeezing the throat of a nude woman. These were videos that the Gardaí were particularly interested in using as evidence, though the judge found that their relevance was lacking and that they could be prejudicial because of their extensive nature, and also some of the searches related back to 9 months before Anna was missing. The judge felt that the jury had already had enough evidence to make a decision relating to whether boy A is guilty or not.